Oh, we live with it.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna do this. I have to talk to him. I have to
really
talk to him today. Welcome to the Unphazed podcast, the #1 Moti-tainment show in the world, where we do our best to show you how to stay unfazed in this world that will definitely try to phase you. You know, I'm here, your unfazed sensei and chief motivator, Phazione McClurge, with the man who has never been fake, not one day in his life, Mr. Real Deal McNeal. Today, we're diving into a topic that every athlete, creator, human being knows too well: setbacks. Today, we're talking about injuries and really all setbacks in life and the toll it takes on us as people, bringing up stories on how we have overcame or what motivated us to get through those situations that sometimes feel like they're unget-throughable. That's not a word, but, you know, I like that word.
Crazy.
The ones where, you know, you get close to throwing in a towel where it seems that you're stuck in a dark place in life and anything, but you're just fighting to get that ounce of light. And with all the injuries lately in the sports world, from the pros to the underdogs, this conversation hits a little different, I'm not gonna lie to you, and closer to home for a lot of us. But if you've ever felt like giving up, if you're going through any setbacks in life, this one's for you. So on today's episode, when life gives you lemons, we are gonna show you how to make lemonade. Let's do it.
I'm unfazed, yeah, I'm unfazed. I'm unfazed, yeah, I'm unfazed. I'm unfazed, yeah, finna stack this paper. I'm unfazed, yeah, finna stack this paper. I'm unfazed.
Look, man. Let me come
Yeah,
back.
we're gonna get some love. You just
I'm gonna bring it back to everybody.
You doing a solo show today? Jesus,
I'm gonna bring it back to everybody.
You got camera happy with the camera, didn't he?
Now, it's a great conversation we got today, man.
And I just want to say, get your stuff together. Cornell gonna take your degree from you.
I don't want to hear that, man.
That goddamn whatever the hell.
We're gonna have a great conversation today, man. And to help us put this conversation forward today, we have a brother of mine, a talent like no other, a mindset like no other, an Ivy League graduate, holds the freshman single game receiving yards record for the first freshman to also restore a touchdown in the college opener since 1994, and a founder and CEO of Expect Greatness, which is a movement that includes a podcast, a clothing brand, and a high-level sports training. We have the honor of having Mr. Eric Gallman on the pod tonight.
Appreciate you having me, man. That's a great intro, man. That was nice. I appreciate it, man.
I'm mad I don't got my Expect Greatness gear.
Yeah. I got mine on.
Yeah, you like that.
EG in the building.
Yeah, man, but we got a great conversation today. I think the main thing, right, is there's been a lot of injuries going across the league. We've seen the NBA Finals, the NBA Championship, Tyrese Halliburton. I just played in the IFL last Saturday. We had a crazy injury to one of the top guys in the league. And even in the NBA playoffs, there were 3 guys that went out with just Achilles.
Yeah.
Specifically.
What's in the water, man?
Just made me think about, like, back on my sports journey, the life that I've had in sports. And not only just injuries, but this is for everybody. This is life, talking about, like, setbacks that we went through, injuries, and the mindset that we had to have going through those injuries to get back and what that means to us. And I know I'm sorry, there's 2 E's on the screen tonight. 2 E's on the screen.
I'm going to go by a real deal today.
Mr. Expect Greatness, man, I know your journey is one that is very inspiring. It inspired me a lot. You inspired me as a brother. And I know you had some things that you went through as far as injuries, setbacks, but the motivation and the inspiration that you have to keep going is like you can't compare it to anything, though. So I appreciate you again for coming on the pod, bro.
Shout out to you.
Man. For sure.
Yeah, bro. And I know Mr. Real Deal McNeal, you know what I mean? He got a lot. He got a lot going on. I ain't gonna say too much about him. But yeah, starting with the NBA Finals, man, I think it was kind of crazy just watching that and just seeing the beginning of the game, how early Tyrese Halliburton went out. But that made me think, like, dang, what did I do and what have you guys done, like, during those times? And, like, what mindset did that put you in when it's like you did get hurt and you're like, everything's going good? So, like, if you put your mind in his mind, you make it to the NBA championships, Game 7. So this is the mecca of the NBA, and you got your team there, you're the leader of that team, boom, you're gone. You know what I mean? So I just want to know, like, what mindset have you guys been in? Like, how can you guys connect that? And what do you guys think?
You want me to go first?
I think for the team, first of all, I'm going to hit it from a more positive light. Shout out to OKC, man.
Yeah.
Doing the W. Yes, there were some negatives, but, we talking about setbacks today. This is a franchise who did have a lot of setbacks, only been to, I want to say, the finals a few times in franchise history. First win in franchise history. So, congratulations to them boys. And yes, Tyrese Halliburton, man, it was a tough blow for the Indiana Pacers. He's balling right there, Game 7. And, we've seen an injury that we all know, I wouldn't say too well, but are familiar with, from seeing GOATs like Kobe Bryant endure, and other zeros, which is ironic. They said people who were the number zeros in the finals, whatever reason, had the same injury, which is crazy. So we should probably do away with that number. But, ultimately, I feel like, the blow that this took on the city, the team, the setback that this had for them to get so close and to not, accomplish the goal, but be right there is something that we're all too familiar with, whether it be, getting to that last interview on the job. For myself, whether it had been getting to the, getting the offer to try out and, make the team, but then not actually being able to capitalize and be a part of that program. So, I mean, setback is something we're all too familiar with. And I know a minor setback makes for a major, major comeback. So.
No, it definitely does. It definitely does.
I think a couple of things, man. We look at the Halliburton injury. One, when they said he had that right calf strain, it's only a matter of time. So with that, like if I'm Halliburton, it's like, do you play or do you not play? And I think that's one of the toughest positions people don't talk about in sports is a lot of guys aren't healthy and they're probably putting their body at risk and they're getting shot up.
Especially like Game 7.
Yeah, so he's getting shot up to play in the game, so no one knows what's really going on. And I said, because you got to think, he started the game 3 for 4 from 3. So he was closing out. So what they got to do, they got to close out on him, right? And when they close out, the first thing I have is the pump fake and the drive. But to drive, I got to put my leg in the ground to go forward. And it was bound to happen. So that's kind of tough to see, especially in that scenario, because you just want to play in the game. I think that's a big thing people don't talk about in sports is, these guys really, really want to play bad. So if there's something on the injury report, whatever they report, it's probably 10 times worse than what it really is, because they didn't even say it was an Achilles tear to after the game. When we could see it. They said,
right. What was that?
Man, we know he's not coming back in the game, but they, those
TBA
guys
right now, TBA.
Yeah, man. So I think a lot of times as an athlete, especially if you want to be in the professional ranks of it, you got to put your body through a lot. And I think
you do.
One of the things that in my position now, after, you talked about a little bit about my career and some of the injuries I had, you guys think Game 1, I broke a record. Game 2, I had like 10 for 105. I was on track. And after that, in the middle of the game in the third quarter was when I had a big, I'm not going to say life-changing injury, but it kind of changed a lot of things. And so I never was healthy in my whole career at Cornell after that. I never really won again, but I didn't know. And then later on I tear a quad as a byproduct of that. So now I'm healthy and I can run and all that, but it's caused me to learn a lot about the body and what you have to do to make sure that body's ready. So what I would tell, especially young athletes, is if you want to get to that level, if you don't have a trainer yourself that knows the body and how to put yourself in a great position, because these weight room staffs, they're not gonna do it, right? Like Cornell, dude, they didn't.
Hey, don't do it.
Yeah, that one hitting deep. It got personal.
Yeah, man.
So
they're not gonna always take the time to invest in you, especially when there's a group of over 100 guys, and there's not enough time. So I would say to the young athletes, man, get someone. You need to learn your body and what it needs so that you can take care of it. And if you don't, you need to have someone in your corner who understands everything you need, from a practice by practice basis to game to how many times you run at a certain speed. And so and this kind of a little bit off topic, but with the training part, man, I've been learning a lot about the body, because all those things took me away from a lot of plays and making plays in college where it had nothing to do with the skill set. And so I find that if you can merge those things and learn those as individual athlete, you put yourself in a better position. So those things, don't come as much. But there's going to be freak accidents in the game. But I feel like in the better.
To the point in which you're making, which I think is great regarding, physical therapy, health recovery, how important it is to take care of your body. Player of his caliber, somebody in his position, that has the resources, that has the finances, I'm sure he was doing more than. Do you think this is one of the situations where it was just, I'm not gonna say inevitable, but it was just freak accident, freak situation? Like it's not anything that he did. Do you think he, basically by watching him, do you think he was a product of, taking care of himself and just being a freak accident, or is this a product of somebody who didn't really do everything they could have to prevent this in the long run?
And off that, what that just made me think of though is like, so what a lot of people say, like even dealing with a lot of injuries, people like say, okay, every setback is a setup for a comeback, right? So God wants to bring you out of that better than you are. And I'm like, I like that. But I was getting that a lot when I got injured. And I'm like, okay, like, dang, okay, like, why you keep saying that? I get it. Like, okay, guys, bring me through this guy. But not necessarily, man, because what I think, what EG was kind of hitting on is this is the sport we play, right? Specifically in sports like football, we're choosing to go out there. And this is just, unfortunately, a sad part of the game. Like we're putting our body on the line. It's like we're going to war. Oh, this is a bad time to say this, but look, I'm gonna say it anyway. We're going. We out there going to war, and we soldiers. All of us are soldiers right here. One of us gonna get shot. That's just part of war.
Damn.
You know what I mean? So one of us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we're putting ourselves out there. So how I look at it, that's just the nature of what we do. And it's an opportunity to become stronger, to become better mentally, physically, and spiritually. And like from my point, it has taken me places where it's like, even when I've been through those setbacks, even what I've been through, it put me in a different space and I grew a lot from it. Like I've gotten something out of it. And at the minimum, I inspired someone else to be like, okay, yeah, you can get out of this too. Because like everything that you went through, EG, and everything you're doing now is amazing. You know what I mean? Because some people go through that and they can't get out of that. A lot of people are stuck in that.
Definitely gonna challenge you to see what type of person you are. Are you somebody who's gonna complain and why me? Or are you somebody who's going, buckle down and like, okay, look, this is unfortunate, it happened to me, but what, like you said, what can I get from it? What can I gain from it? How can I grow? How can I touch somebody else? Am I truly a man of character who can, still rally behind my team, although I can't be on the field with them, or on the court? So,
and I think with the Halliburton thing, like, so you don't know what you don't know, right?
You don't.
So a lot of times that injury shows up to show you, hey, you got to tweak something, right? So I'm not saying that's like with Halliburton, I'm sure you put in a lot of work, but just because you put in a lot of work doesn't mean you put in the right work. And I'm not saying he didn't put in the right work, but has he ever been to an NBA Finals before and played that long of a season? No. So you know what that training may need to look like and how much he needs to prepare his body to handle all those forces? Probably not if he's never done it, right? Unless he, met up with Braun or something and was like, hey, man, what's your workout? Played through all 7 games of the final and not get hurt, then you wouldn't know that. And you wouldn't know to do that because you wouldn't know that there was a thing going on. Now, did life give him a warning? It did give him a warning when he hurt his calf, right? So now it's like, hey, something is not intact. But just because he got that warning there, it didn't align with the NBA season. So he made the decision to keep playing. But he had a time, like he didn't have to play in that game. He kind of did, but he knew he wasn't healthy, right? So now
what, in game 7?
But as a player, you got to think about.
I was about to say, man, fuck that. This is game 7 of the. This is a stage I've never been on before, and it's a stage that I don't know if I will ever get back to. I'd rather go down in a blaze of glory than to watch on the sideline, not really putting, myself an opportunity, to potentially be a factor. Yes, I know that hurt them in the long run by him getting hurt, but imagine if he doesn't play.
Well, and it all depends on how you look at it, right? So,
and I think that's what he did, though.
I look at it as the player, though, because if this surgery doesn't go well, he can't play again. Was it worth it? In his eyes, you know what I mean? It's not a guarantee that just because Kobe came back and played, like he has to go under that knife. You got to trust a man while you're asleep to put you back together, right? So I'm not saying he shouldn't have played in it, but I'm just saying there is risk to it. So now he may be
always a risk with the reward, baby.
10 more years and is in the Hall of Fame, rather than if he goes under that knife and he's never the same again. So it's just pros and cons of each. Obviously, that moment is so big, and you feel like you have to play in it. But at the end of the day, this is your temple. This game's going to come and go. And,
okay. Well, let's shift gears for a second then. Not that this is the same person, same, scenario, but Aaron Rodgers in a certain degree. Same injury. You know what I'm saying? Different scenario early in the season. What to a certain degree do you feel can somebody, and again, I understand you saying he had the calf injury and that, but as a result to certain injuries, other injuries can stem from, but I don't know. I don't know. It's just hard for me to wrap my head around not playing in that game, knowing what's on the line. Then watching those who came before you, like the Kobe Bryants or like everybody else who's ever been injured and played through injury, he's one of the greats. You got to almost think you can do it. So,
well, I get it. It's just you got to understand the body is the body has nothing to do with the moment. The moment is it's a man-made moment, right? The man has created the NBA, man has created the game, so it is a man-made moment. And that's a different perspective that a lot of people don't look at the game like you don't owe the game stuff. Like, you can do, like you said, you can transition to anything and you can be great at anything. So with his body and his tempo, he's still got to think about the rest of his life. So I think a lot of times we get sucked into like this being the most important thing. And that happened to me at Cornell. I was always trying to play that season when, I should have took a whole year off. They were trying to force me to play, get me shot up, and they weren't even running an offense that was going to use. Like me and Phaz on the same team, we weren't putting up points in yards like we should have. And so we're not healthy trying to do that. Why would we not? Looking back, this is me talking a little bit about my story. I take that year off to get healthy. Now I save myself 2 years of eligibility on the back end. Now I can go play at a bigger school, that's going to be more focused on football. But you can't see that while you're in it. So I just think a lot of times you get sucked into this.
At the end of the day, I'm going to say.
Yeah.
We can sit in these moments and I think speak about it now, but at the end of the day, tomorrow's not promised. So to think you have time on the clock, my thing is think about this. There's always hypotheticals out there. And I feel like your best judgment is going to be your best judgment in the moment. Whatever choice you decide to make, you got to live by that choice, because you could be somebody, which we've seen this happen, somebody who's doing everything right, or somebody who did take the opportunity and didn't take it for granted. Like, look, I'm hurt, I'm banged up, I'm gonna take time off. Then you go out and you get caught up, or freak accident happens, you in the car accident or whatever. You never know what your story is going to be just because you're trying to do the things right. You got to trust in God's plan for your life. You know what I'm saying? Because ultimately, yes, I do feel like there's a lot of things within our control, but most times you do got to walk by faith and not by sight. You got to have faith, the grain of a mustard seed, and trust and believe that, hey, if I'm supposed to play in this, it's going to happen. If it didn't happen, or for whatever reason, this injury did occur, whatever it may be, I got to trust in him. Like you said, you got to trust, that when he goes under and they do whatever, that it isn't God's plan for it to work out, because it doesn't matter whether or not he, tore his Achilles now or, took time off and try to recover and whatever the case may be. If it was not meant for him to play anymore after this, it didn't matter if it came by Achilles tear or if it came by another injury later on down the line, or if it just came by, freak accident.
Yeah.
What's written in the plan is written in the plan. So, I mean, not negating what you're saying, I'm just also a man of, spiritual faith too. So I think it's a 50-50 kind of perspective on both of it.
But facts. And I think that's a big point. And I think even I'm thinking about some of the decisions that I've made dealing with injuries in the past. And I've been on both of those sides. And literally currently, I was on both of those sides, making decisions okay, how important is it for me to put my body on the line right now? Is this moment in my head, is this moment big enough for me to know that I'm risking my body and putting my body on the line and something can happen? I've made both decisions. I made decisions I'm going to go play. And then I got hurt more, and that extended my injury. And I was dealing with that injury for a whole off season. And I came back and got injured again. But then I was on the other side as well, more so recently, where I was like, you know what? I don't think it's a smart decision based on the opportunities that I have, the time that I have, the age that I am, and how my body feels right now already. I don't think I'm going to make that decision, even though it could be, I could go, speaking of the IFL, I could go to the IFL right now and win a championship. You know what I mean? I could help them, propel them to a championship. But I was in that same thing, that was a tough decision that I had to make. And I know that's a decision that a lot of people, will have to deal with, as far as hey, how serious is your commitment to this right now versus like, hey, like what we're doing is like we're getting in car accidents on that football field consistently.
Right.
You know what I mean? On that basketball field, you're putting a
Especially in
lot
the
on your
damn arena.
legs, especially in arena. Yeah,
I'm not saying it's right or wrong, right? But
yeah, it's not. Yeah,
you has to make a choice that's best for them.
have
So for
to.
Halliburton, Game 7, that could be his dream. You live it. To someone else, like you got to think about it. There's a lot of different scenarios. I'll bring up two other people. I'll bring up Kawhi Leonard and I'll bring up Calvin.
Mm.
Kawhi Leonard, they got mad at him for sitting out in San Antonio because he was trying to get back healthy. So then he went to the Raptors and won a championship. So, it's both sides of the story, but then
Yeah.
play through it, you could play through it and win a chance. So you really, I'm not saying there's a right or wrong way, but every
Yeah.
human has to make the decision that's best for them. And then you look at someone like Calvin Johnson, who retired at the peak because he tired of getting hit. So, he could have kept playing and trying to win. Even Barry Sanders, same thing. So every human has to make the decision they feel is best for them. And, all you can make is the best decisions that you can while having faith as well, right? But you still got to make a decision in your day-to-day, but you got to have faith when you make those decisions. You can't make a decision out of fear or anything like that. But it all comes down to, individual's preference. So
yeah, and connecting that back to just like the setback part of it, right? Like I know we've all been through things that like when I talk about setbacks, like for everybody that watches this, we're not even talking about directly just injury. You know what I mean? There's all type of setbacks in life. So not getting drafted is a setback. Not getting that job offer, not getting that audition, making something and it just flopping, not getting the views. Those are all setbacks or how you want to look at them, failures or whatever it is. So dealing with anything like that, I want to ask both of y'all how. I'll start with EG. Like for you, even with your story, you know what I mean? Because you have a different story that you gave us a little bit about. Like, what is your mindset in going through that? Okay, you have that setback, that injury, that flop, whatever it is. Like, what is your mindset and how do you get over that? You know what I mean?
So really, I try to approach everything from principles, man, and from a spiritual perspective. So everything I try to deal with, I try to look at it as far as, okay, from my consciousness of I am, right? So I try to go to that place and raise my awareness up while looking at things and then go from there. But also from just an emotional scale too, right? I try to take into consideration my emotions while doing a lot of things, because if you fail on something or if something goes awry or things like that, you got to deal with all those emotions. So for me, the way I try to handle it, and this kind of takes patience and it takes time, and it may not make a lot of sense to people, but what I try to do is I try to just raise my awareness and look at it from, a God consciousness, whatever that means to whoever you are, right? I try to raise my awareness up and not be in the thing all the time, and then look at it from there and then deal with those emotions and let them pass by, let those thoughts pass by, let those emotions pass by and observe there. And then as those emotions pass by, I can be in a much better place. And when you're in a much better place, I feel it's easier to hear God. It's easier to be in a place where you hear the next decision or the next direction to go. And so that's how I try to handle those things. And then if I can do that, now a lot of those scenarios don't seem as big to me because, God is so great. And if I'm looking at this sport, God is like, dude, this earth is beautiful. All these things out here, and you're just so caught up in your little world. So if I can, go to that place, it'll put things in perspective. Stress falls away, and then the right decision kind of seems real clear and easy once you can get to that state. So that's how I do.
I think that's huge. I think that's so huge. Wait, ooh. I like that, E, because no, for real, because I think a lot of people, because I've been having a kind of that same realization as far as like thinking about everything, like when you make decisions or you make things in the moment. So an injury happens during that moment. Oh my God, why is this happening? Not me. Why me? God, what's going on? Like I'm never gonna get better. Even going through it's like rehabilitation, not like this is not getting better, or you go through that point where it's like, dang, I'm going through the same thing. I don't see the improvement yet. I feel like a lot of that is just caught up in the emotions.
Yeah.
And you get to thinking about this and that, like the future. You're thinking, okay, I don't know what the future is gonna hold. But getting rid of the emotions, saying, okay, like where am I really at right now? Like clearing all that out, where am I really at right now, and kind of understanding that, and then kind of making a decision from there, or open yourself up to, like you're saying, what God, having that God consciousness. I think that's huge, man, because I think a lot of times, especially for me too, I've been having that realization that, like, okay, this is just football. Like this is just a game. You know what I mean? And it's a game that we're committed to. It's a game that we love, or whatever it is that we're doing. But if I have people that love me, You know what I mean? If I'm able to get up and I'm able to see myself improving, even if it's small improvements,
Yeah.
able to see myself getting better, if I'm able to go walk, talk, and a lot of things that I can be thankful for. I think for me, getting through a lot of the injuries or setbacks that I've had, it's been gratitude. And I
Yep.
kind of think that's a lot of things that you're kind of hitting on as well. It's like that's what helped me out is being grateful and having a lot of gratitude for the situation and the fact that me getting through this is going to help somebody else.
Yep.
I'm going to be a story. This is just part of my movie. Anytime anything bad, this is part of my movie. This is what makes my movie good because I'm going to
Yeah.
get through this and then I'm going to become this person that went through that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and to piggyback off that real quick, a lot of times, like if you're sitting down, right, in the
Mhm.
present moment, you're not being attacked by a bear, right? You're not in, you know what I'm saying? So in that moment, literally, there's nothing. You're not in danger. But if you're worried about the future, you're literally
Mhm.
creating chemicals like you're actually in danger. So your body's
Yeah.
under that type of stress. When if you just stop and you thought, even if you had the pressure of the finals, whatever it may be, whatever it is, if you stopped in that moment, there's literally nothing going on, right? But
Mhm.
that level of presentness will then imagine when you do go to play and you're
Mm.
in the present there, your performance is
Wow.
going to skyrocket there. So it's not about trying to make your performance better in the future. It's all about just handling each present moment while you're in it. So that,
Mm.
those two things. And while you do that, you can be thankful for the meal that you're going to eat. You can be thankful for the water that you do drink. You can be thankful for the people. And once you do that over and over, regardless of how things turn out in life, you're in a good state and you're enjoying life, right? Which is one of
Mm.
my biggest things now is, am I enjoying life or am I just, constantly chasing something? And I heard, what's the dude's name, man? He famous actor Jim Carrey, and he said,
Mm.
"I hope you
Yeah.
get everything you want in life, just so you can realize you didn't really need it all. You didn't need any of it."
Yes.
So it's kind of just putting
Yes.
that perspective that those present moments are always what you really only need and only have. So
Hmm. You said that thing like the word chasing.
yeah,
Like a lot of times, like especially for men like us that are pushing to be like highly successful,
yep,
always working towards something. It does seem like we're always kind of chasing something. You have a setback and it's like, okay, I gotta work even harder, or this is, you know what I mean? But it's like I heard that quote too, and I think that
heard
was a
it.
huge
Yeah,
quote. That was huge. Yeah. Now what you had to say, E, my bad.
No, man. Everything y'all saying is just I'm just soaking it in over here, and
Yeah.
it's good, to hear like-minded men like yourself, provide words of encouragement not only for the community, but if I don't do one thing on this platform, I'm definitely going to take an opportunity to absorb and just to kind of respond to setbacks from a little slightly different perspective, but for you guys, y'all been hitting on like the gratefulness and being thankful just for what it's teaching you, but one big thing, and I believe there's quotes in the Bible for everything. But one big thing I try to, preach or pray to myself, and try to really, really hone in on is just the understanding of, what the setback is. And there's a prayer I pray all the time. I actually got a tattoo on the side of me, but it's the serenity prayer, and it's very simple, but it just goes, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And ultimately, when praying that prayer, you want to understand things that are out of that, you know, I'll just kind of hit it like by step or stanza by stanza. But God grant me the serenity to set things I cannot change. There's a lot of things in this world that's going to be out of our control. You're going to experience setbacks at every point in life when it comes to you chasing something or
Hmm.
you trying to achieve a goal. It's going to be setbacks. There's going to be
Yeah.
a lot of things that are out of your control, but the second portion of that, after God grant me the serenity to set things I cannot change, but the courage to change the things that are in my control. So the
Mm.
things that I can go out and do, the things that I do have grasp on, how hard I'm working, am I really dedicating my time to this? Am I really putting my best foot forward? Even though I got this setback and things didn't happen, am I giving up or am I persevering? So, ultimately, and the last part of that is just, the wisdom to understand the difference. Sometimes you may be thinking, oh, like I did everything that I could do, and it still didn't work out for me, but not understanding like even though you did everything you could do, it may still not work out for you. That's out of your control. But what is in your control is to learn from that, understand, the lesson you're supposed to take from that, and to keep pushing forward. Because, like we always say, you will get 1,000 no's before you get one yes. You know what I'm saying? There's gonna be so many no's before you get that one yes, that one opportunity. But if you gave up just because things didn't go your way, or if you gave up just because you had this setback in life, and you didn't understand that this is what you needed to endure. It's like a preparation thing. God is preparing you for your blessing. He's not going to give you something that you're not ready for. So, ultimately, these setbacks are, inevitable in your progress. They're inevitable in your success story, your
Yes.
testimony, whatever it may be. You have to endure. You have to understand the plan that He has for you. And even if you don't understand, you got to have
Mm.
that faith. As we always say again, faith, walk by faith, not by sight. You know what I'm saying? But also, faith without works is dead. So keep working, keep pushing. And like to you guys' point, be grateful once He does bless you with that understanding, just to be grateful of what it taught you, how far you've come. Be thankful for the blessings. Be thankful for the challenges. You know what I'm saying? The trials and
Mm.
tribulations, the things that have gotten your way. Because if the devil is not trying to set you back, then you're not moving in the right direction. You're not going where you're supposed to go. So, come on now. He couldn't wait.
My bad. I ain't
It
gonna
was
do that.
getting deep.
You started pushing for a
Man.
second, so I had
When
to
you
hit him with
talking
it.
that talk, you
I had
feel.
to hit him
But
with it.
again, that's
But
what I'm saying. Like, this
yeah,
conversation is beautiful to absorb. And if
yeah,
y'all ain't got a pen and pad out right now taking notes, man, what are you doing? We trying to give
something.
you the tools to be unfazed, baby.
Come
Come
on.
on,
And I
man.
think one of the things too that you hit on, right? And there's one thing, like I think I was talking with somebody about this, and it could be controversial. It could be like it was one of these motivational speakers said it. I can't remember exactly which one, but one of the things he was talking about is like as bad as a setback. And we had the conversation about fear and failure before, right?
Mm-hmm.
As I think as bad as setbacks and failures can feel in the moment,
Mm,
they come with privilege.
say that.
You at the deepest, darkest moment, at that point, have an opportunity, dare I say, an obligation to get through that and become better so you can inspire people to show them that it is
Right.
possible to go
Right.
through that and come out on the other side. And for me, one thing I think about a lot is like the child, I think about the children and the child that I don't have. You know what I mean? And I had to understand that like setbacks in life are inevitable. Like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
care when we get to the point where we're making billions, millions of dollars, or whatever it is, setbacks are still going to come. Like,
Right.
the richest people, the most wealthiest people are not the happiest people. You know what I mean? We've already learned that that does not equate. You know what I mean? So, setbacks are inevitable. So, I'm going to push myself right now through all of that so I can be evidence to my children, so I can
Right.
be evidence to all the people that see the podcast, evidence to all the people that come after me and are going through something like that to show them, like, yes, you can go through that and you can get that done. Because I am right here showing you that, hey, I went through that and I did it. And I
Fact.
built this platform off of it. I did all these
Yeah.
things. Anything you do after that.
I think the thing that I love that you said the most, one thing that I can really relate to, is doing it for, the kids that we don't have yet, but also the beautiful thing and the blessings that we bring to, episodes like this, or, conversations like this, is we have all experienced experiences that can help us share a perspective in which other people can gain and learn from. Just for myself, like to the point of why people ask, well, why did you play so many sports? Why did you play football, basketball, baseball, lacrosse, track, competitive all-star cheer? Why did you do all those things? Is because I wanted to build I wanted to, I had to get to you quick. I wanted to build a resume. That boy said that like he said it a few times, didn't he? But I wanted to build a resume for my children who aren't yet here, and build an understanding of, hey, look, I don't want any excuses when it comes to it, because I do know what you're going through. I can relate to you. We are going to be successful. We are going to achieve the same, feeling that you're feeling when it comes to this setback that you think is just the worst thing that's ever happened to you. I've been there. You're going to make it through. One of the great, say we are undefeated against bad days. So, I think I heard that from Steve Harvey. But you know what I'm saying? You undefeated when it comes to bad days.
Said that. Steve
Like,
said
as
that.
long as you breathing, you know what I'm saying? So you say that?
Steve said that. Steve
Oh
said
yeah,
that.
Steve said that. Yeah, that was a good one. That was good.
That
But
was
yeah,
good.
like, and that just speaks to and goes to show, like you said, anything you think you're going through, it may feel like, the heaviest weight. It may feel like you at your lowest, and it ain't no coming from it. But as long as you breathe and already put the right foot forward and keep pushing forward. There's a picture I want to show y'all too. Y'all keep talking. I gotta find this picture. It's
No,
a
pull it up. I think one of
powerful
the things
picture.
too, that just made me think of is that like even when going through anything that seems like is a setback, is a failure, anything like that, I think one thing that has always helped me is action, taking action. Because I think that's where a lot of people they get messed up because people with a fixed mindset, when a setback happens, they think, okay, should I keep going or what do I do now? Or like what's going to happen? They have that anxiety and all that gets to building up. They all these emotions, like you were talking about, EG. And I
Yeah.
think one of the main things that helped me out is I'm a person, I don't know if it's just me, how this got into me, but I love taking action. I don't like waiting for things to happen. I do things right away. You know what I mean? If it's anything in life, and that has just helped me because it doesn't give me time to sit in the emotions and think too much about that. If some okay, let's just rehab, let's get to the rehab. If
Yeah.
it's a failure or something, okay, let's just get it out. If the podcast don't look okay, let's just get it out. Let's on to the next. And that in doing that, that helps me to not have the emotions in it, and it helps me to continue to keep going forward. So if even if I get set back, it helps me to keep pushing, keep pushing. So now the setback, I keep getting back. Because I think what people get so upset with is that you work so hard to get to a certain point and you're climbing and you're climbing and you're climbing. Then you get knocked down and you look back up like, dang, I was already there. I got to go through all that again. But instead of just putting your head down, like, okay, getting back to it. And by this time, you had seen what it took to get there already. So you can get to that point faster.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if you're going to sit right here, most people sit at that bottom too much looking up like, dang, they thinking, they in the emotions, and they let that deter. Because I think what a lot of people don't understand is that what you were saying earlier, that mindset, having that mindset and being in all those emotions, that affects you.
Yep.
Like that affects the way you heal. That affects your spirit. That affects your body. That affects your ability to do things and do a lot of things. So I think the mindset is a huge thing when it comes to going through any setbacks, any injuries, or any failures like that.
Yeah, and to be honest, man, I don't even like the word setback
Mm.
because it's only you only have a present moment. You know what I'm saying? So when you're
Yeah.
talking about going up the thing,
Mhm.
you're going up, all you're doing is a task in that moment. Like
Yes.
you're moving closer to a goal, but you're just
Yeah.
focusing in that moment in that day. And then the setback happens, but all you're going to do in the next day, and that's what helps you is you move on action, right? But really all you're doing is you're being present on your next step and you're not thinking
Yes.
about the old
That's
thing.
it.
So all you have to do is just keep, okay, this happened. All right, what am I going to focus on this moment? And then I move on
Yes.
that. And so if you're thinking on that, you can't be thinking on that. You can't think of two things at one time. A double
You
minded
can't.
laws, but you really can't. So it's just you
Yeah.
got to, train your brain of where you're going to place it on and where you're going to focus majority of the time. Are you going to have thoughts that don't align with it? Yes. But then are you skilled enough to say, okay, let that one go and then focus your brain most times on what you want? And that's where I think a lot of people with the social media and the TVs and electronics and things like that, they have that dopamine consciousness where they just need stuff. So their brain is just always wiring where they can't slow it down. But I think what you're basically saying is I can just keep moving in action. But if you're moving it, like if you're running a route, right? And let's put a great DB on you. Your sole focus is beating that DB. You're not thinking about lunch tomorrow, right? On you. You're not thinking about lunch tomorrow. You saying I want to make Patrick lunch, right? It's one task at a time. So I think that's what help people do is they can focus on one thing at a time and take their mind off problems. But it's all about what are you doing in each moment with your thoughts and with your emotions. That's really life right there. So
in the words of Uguay, you know what I'm saying? One of my
Uguay. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Master Uguay from Kung Panda, but as that's he said,
I just watched all of those.
Yeah, really good. They're like really good.
Yeah.
He said the past is history, tomorrow's a mystery.
Yeah.
And today is a gift. That's why they call it the present. So we're gonna take the effects from him.
Say that one more time.
It says the past is history, tomorrow's a mystery, and today is a gift. That's why they call it the present. So ultimately, I'm saying this, like he's stating that in the moment feeling, that focus on what's in front of you right now, the task right now. Like you can only live in this moment. Yeah. You can't worry about what's going to happen tomorrow. You can't worry about what happened in the past and why you're not where you're at. The primary focus is what you're doing right now and where it could take you, but focus on the right now, what's directly in front of you or whatever. And tomorrow will take care of itself as long as you focus on right now. So I did find this picture. I've been trying to figure out how to, let me send it to Phaz. Real simple picture. You guys have probably seen it before or whatever. I don't know if it'll let me pull it up because, I'm working off, my lap. But basically, if you've seen this picture, and I'll figure out how to get it up here before the end of this episode, but it's a picture of a man digging through like dirt, like he's miming. and he's mining for like diamonds or gold or whatever the prize is on the other side. But he gets so close and he's so tired, you know, to the point where, you know, he turns around and he gives up. You know, he's exhausted from, you know, maybe it was setbacks like hands cramping, back aching. He's tired. He's beat. He gives up. There's another man right above him going to work. One thing that this picture never shows, although it says you never know how close you are, is I always wonder what's going to happen to that man above once he gets to that same point. What is it about those who can endure, those who can persevere? You know, is it a mindset? Is it a mental thing? Is it just, you know, a sheer, shoot, I'm just going to keep going because I don't know no better, like what it is. But I've always had that one thought, you know, on that picture. But it's a great picture. I'm sure, Phaz, if you search that picture up like I did, you should be able to find it. But I can't figure out how to get it up. I just want them to see it.
No, yeah. I'll search it up and find it too.
Let me see how I can get it. I'm gonna get it, but yeah,
You can send it to me too. I think that's huge because I think one thing that makes me think about too, just like directly with that quote, right, is that even flip of that, right? It's okay to pivot, right? And I think a lot of things, like going back to the Halliburton conversation that we were kind of going back and forth about, and just even thinking about now, like just in life, what I want a lot of the people to understand that is it's your life. You know what I mean? You could be whoever you want to be. And even if you are that person that you're mining and you stop right there, and the thing that you always want is right there, and you stop and you go in a different, you give up and you want to pivot, do something, like that's all, like it's your life. You know what I mean? And I think that's a big thing. When I looked at that, I was like, dang, like I can't stop. Like I'm playing football, I gotta do this. I'm hurt or whatever. I gotta keep going. I just gotta keep going. I gotta be the greatest. I gotta, you know what I mean? I've had that mindset, and that mindset has got me to where I am today. So I'm like, there's no problem with that. But I think as I get older, you know, as I get wiser, as a couple more gray hairs start popping on my head, you know what I mean? Like I start realizing and understanding and becoming more grateful for the things, the small things, like the family and different things like that. Just small experience and being even more present than I was before. Because a lot of things people may think we're talking about being present, like, okay, when it's dealing with sports, like, okay, no, but we're talking about life. You know what I mean? Like it's always okay to, hey, whatever decision you make, have faith in that decision and keep going. If you want to pivot to something else and go with that. But in order to be successful, you know what I mean, just the study shows if you're going to work at something, you're going to commit to something, if that's what you really want to do, why spend? And there was another Jim Carrey quote, right? He was talking about his dad. He was like, his dad was a comedian. His dad was probably one of the best comedians that he had ever seen. And he stopped being a comedian to get a regular job. And then he got fired from that regular job. So why wouldn't you just do the thing that you love to do? You know what I mean? If you couldn't, if you were gonna get fired anyway. Like if you could get fired from a regular job, whatever it is, you should just keep doing what you love. So I think that's my main thing for anybody. Go ahead.
I wanna say something. I gotta figure out what podcast this is, but I seen it. I don't know. Maybe you might have sent this to me low key, but
maybe.
Basically, what the podcast was speaking about, and I think a lot of reason why, like, just kind of hit on that Jim Carrey quote you just dropped, but you asked that question of why maybe he quit or why he, you know, got a job. I think a lot of times in life we put a lot of pressure on our shoulders about being a provider, or you know, a lot of pressure that, you know, it's not our own to bear, and you know, ultimately, like. And I don't want to butcher this, but I think the story or the quote went something like, you know, at the end of the day, God did not put Adam in the garden to be a provider for the garden. It was already, everything there was already provided for him. You know, it wasn't like he was put there to handle everything or take care of this. He was there to manage because he already was provided for. And I feel like a lot of times that like we take on these battles and these obstacles, like this pressure on our life that God did not. That's not a pressure that God was trying to give you. We're putting ourselves in this state of mind and stressing ourselves out on something that He's already taken care of. That's already done for us. You know what I'm saying? So ultimately, I guess, you know, to kind of bring this back to like the full circle aspect of it is, you know, when you think about a setback or the pressure of the way it'll impact or affect you in the future or whatever, that's not for you to decide or determine or whatever, because again, God's already planned that journey out for you. You know what I'm saying? It's just your goal and your objective to manage your right now, manage what you can handle. Allow God to work everything else out. Allow him to handle that pressures. Give it unto him and trust and believe he's going to take care of it. And if you're not a religious person or whatever, because again, I know we are hitting on, but this is a religious podcast. You are looking at God-fearing men. You know what I'm saying? And we're just sharing with you the tools that we use to stay unfazed on an everyday basis. So if there are other tricks, tools to the trade, trust and believe, they all speak to the same messages, the same outcome of, continue to, as we keep saying, persevere through the setback. So, but that
and
was
this
just like,
that brings me to one thing too. I think in all of this is how can, like, in any setback or anything that I've went through, in trying to stay present, in trying to be grateful,
mhm,
I think one of the main things that I've always connected to in life is greatness. You know what I mean? Trying to be great. You know what I mean? I think a lot of this comes from, hey, I want to be the best version, even if it's not
absolutely,
sports, football, or whatever it is. I'm trying to be the best version of myself. You know what I
mhm,
mean? And we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to be the best football player, the best this, the best that, whatever it is. But I think in that pursuit of greatness, even if you would it, like, I feel like it's one of those things that's like a double entendre, because like in the pursuit of greatness, I'm in the pursuit of it, I'm chasing greatness, but I feel like also, I think we had this conversation last time, like the pursuit is great. You know what I mean? The journey in itself of pursuing what we think of as greatness, that's great too. Like that's the greatness
mhm,
piece too. And tying that all back, I want to know more about expect greatness.
I like
I
mhm.
that.
want I want to know
Come
about
on, put
like what that
tonight.
means, as far as like, 'cause we're talking about like setbacks and staying present and everything, but like when you created that brand or when you had the idea, I know it's a play on your name as well, e.g. expect greatness, but what does that mean to you, and like what kind of motivated you to start that?
Well, it kind of when you're talking, it reminds me of the book The Alchemist. I don't know if you've read
Yeah,
them,
yeah, I
but
have.
you're on the pursuit of greatness, right? You're just on the pursuit. And you learn everything about life. You get back to the starting point. But I feel that we think alike. That's why we had got along for a long time. That's why you don't really come across people unless you kind of are on something similar, wavelength.
Similar wavelengths, yeah.
You're pursuing it, similar things, but you don't have a chance if you're not expecting great things from yourself.
Hmm.
And there's a lot of studies that are being done that from a cellular level, when you put yourself in a state where you expect things to go well, they go well more times than not, right? And so really expect greatness is just it's a state of mind, man. It's a state of being that allows you to have the best outcomes possible, but also allows you to have your best life possible. And I think that's really
Mhm,
what any goal does. It allows a person to sharpen themselves and become a
mhm,
better person themselves. But without that mindset at the forefront of it, you're not going to have a chance, especially when you come across those setbacks or those losses or
Hmm.
those injuries, whatever it may be. If you don't have a greatness mindset and expect great things before it happens, and see it and feel it and keep pursuing it, and you feel it down into your bones, into your body. If you don't have that before, you don't really have a
right.
chance at all. So, and if you look at all the great ones, from Mike to Steph to Kobe to Braun to, I mean, Tom Brady's one of my favorites, man. If you don't have that mindset, Ray Lewis, you name it. And those are just sports guys. But if you look at even people in business, they have a vision for their product. They feel it. They know how many people it's going to help, right? And
Hmm.
once you're in that state of being, everything else kind of falls into place. And it kind of goes hand in hand with that having faith, right? To have faith
Yeah,
is that you expect it to go well. If I don't have
yeah.
faith, that means it's the opposite. I don't expect it to go well. So it's kind of the same thing of having faith, but it's just, you're expecting the best from yourself. And even if it doesn't go right, then okay, we go to the drawing board and I do it again and I
Come
expect
on now.
it better, right? So that's really what the mindset comes
And
down to.
it's
It's
funny.
inevitable.
It's funny because like you named all those people who like we look at in the sports world and we highlight and they're great, right? I seen Draymond Green.
Yeah.
In no category are we saying Draymond Green is the greatest player of all time. If
Yep.
you, I don't know who you talk to, unless you're his family or his kids, you're not going to
Yeah.
say he is the greatest player of all time. But there's a conversation that we had, and I loved the fact that he said that. He was like, when somebody asks me, am I better than this person?
Yes.
Or am I going to be one of the yes.
Why would I say no?
Yes. Why would I say no? Because in my mind, I'm expecting, like I'm working my butt off, even if it's not, you don't get there. He may not ever get there where he's compared to Mike or whatever it is, but that's the mindset you need to have. And even the pursuit of that, kind of like you were saying, that's what's going to give you a chance to even graze a piece of Michael or a piece of all these greats of people that got to that level. You know what I mean? So I think that's huge. And I think that's a great mindset.
Same thing with any industry, man. You know,
Yes.
music, you know, I hear Russ talk about it a lot. Like, you got to kind of be a little bit delusional. You got to believe, like, if not, you're not going to open your mouth. You're not going to put your music out. You're not going to, put together the pitch deck and pitch your idea. If you don't believe in the product, and if you don't believe in it, then, you know, the energies, they're going to feel it and they're not going to believe in it. So that's where the mindset came from, man. Like I said, it is a play on the name, you know. So I'm the second, so it's EG2. Expect greatness first, and express gratitude was the other one. And two pillars I try to live by in everyday life, man. So it's just something that motivates me.
And like the inevitable success. That's damn it.
Nah, almost.
It was close.
Inevitable success would have been right there.
And with that too, I just want to ask as well. I want to talk about, because we talked about the platform and what it talks about is about building the brand and everything. As someone who's, because I'm doing this right now, the Unphazed podcast, everything that me and Eman are building and about to do as well with the 30 days coming up. Quick
30 days Unphazed.
But when you're creating, it's just an idea. Like EG, it's like an idea that comes, like Unphazed was just an idea. It's like, okay, I like that. Okay, Unphazed. And then it turns into, for you, a clothing brand. It turns into a podcast. It turns into a training. Like I'm training, like you can touch a lot of different things with that. Like, what does that look like? What is your goal for wanting the EG, the expect greatness, to get to? And what is it? I guess I want to ask, as far as like building a brand, like why did it go from there to the podcast, to this, to that? Like, what are you trying to do? Because essentially, like, when you start a brand, you're going to try to be the next, like you're Nike. You know what I mean? Like Nike started from an idea, Unphazed, just like Unphazed and EG started from an idea. So kind of like what's coming next for the EG platform, and what has that journey been like in creating that platform?
Well, it's changed as I've gotten older. Like while we're in school, NIL started, right? So that was an opportunity to create merch and all those things. And at Cornell, I was butting heads. I was trying to get my stuff in the stadiums during the games. I was trying to talk to people. I was trying to go to the Cornell store. I'm fighting. They're like, no. They're like, talk to him. They're like, he talked to him. So I'm like, I'm spending all the time doing that. And I remember when I came with my attire on, man, one of my coaches is like, who does he think he is wearing himself on his shirt? I'm like, bro, why you know what I mean? I'm like, you hating, and this, like, come on, man. So, and like I said, a lot of that wasn't even necessarily for me at the time. It is for me, but it's like, if you can break down that door, if I could break down the door and I can get our shirts in the stadium as you come in, like everyone else can eat for years and years to come. You have a big game, you have your stuff ready, you can, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Collect some checks, but that wasn't that environment there. So that's kind of where it originally started. And now in today's world, I think everybody needs to have their own brand, and you do have your brand, whether it's on social media or not. You are a walking billboard for yourself, your family, and everyone you connect to. So
if you choose to tap into it or not, that's on you. But
it's on you.
Yeah,
exactly. So so these platforms are just kind of express ways for me to spread some of the mentality. And I don't, you know me, I don't talk a lot. Like I'll talk to certain people who want to talk, but I'm not about to just share my ideas. But that's a place where I can, you know, share some ideas. And the training is a place where, you know, we can share some of those ideas, because, and I haven't shared this yet, but my body has changed a lot, man. And you've seen me a little bit when I was, you know, down in Dallas this past year, but I've completely changed. And in college, I wasn't the most athletic cat, right? I was good at playing the game. Like I could win. But I wasn't athletic. Now you understand the NFL game is strictly freaks only. You got to be a freak. Right? And so, and I want to shout out to Jalix, man, because I remember I told him, I said, dude, you'll be the player of the year if you could just mellow it out and stay cool and figure it out, right? And, you know, Jalix from Momentum is different, right? But
Super Bowl champ.
And got a sack. And they didn't play him, right? So that's the type of environment we were in, where you have a freak athlete on the roster who's not playing, who has a sack in the Super Bowl.
Yes. Like, what are you doing?
What are we doing? And that's the environment that we were in, that we were trying to succeed in, right? That environment is not created for us to have success. And that's why I feel like we butt heads a lot with everyone there. And that's why we can get along there, but because we were on the same pursuit. But my whole point to say is that he kept going, and it may not be in that scenario, may not be in that setting. He may have to go to a small school in Texas that no one's go to the Reese's Bowl. Like, everyone's journey is different. And I'm excited to see what you and your next journey, because I know if you don't quit and you come to the camp prepared, you'll have a shot to do what we have to do, because the skill set and the drive was always there. It's just a matter of time before everything can align, right? So timing, so that's really like with the brand, man. It's about extension of those ideas to, like you said, help people and to connect people and intermingle and just always move into upward and better as best you can, man. So
I think that's big, because I think a lot of people are scared as far as putting out the content and putting out the brand and doing that, because it's like, okay, what am I going to do? Or I'm scared how people are going to look. But realizing that you are the content. You are. I seen something today where it was like, I think it might have been Russ. Actually, it was Russ's tweet. And he was just talking about, like, you are the content. Like, you're broke right now. You're in a beat up Toyota. You're in this, that. You're doing all, like, that's the content. They're going to see that growth. Every part of your life is the content, is the brand. You should be filming that. You should be documenting that. You should be doing something with that, especially just in the world that we live in today. Because like you just said, the brand does not always have to be the same. Apple has had millions of different transitions in logos. They have transitioned to AI, all these different things. The brand is never going to stay the same. Phazione is going to be different a year from now than it is today. Unphazed is going to be different. EG is going to be different. Real Deal McNeal is going to be different. You know what I mean? But we have to be okay with that. You know what I mean? And then just be able to let that flow and be comfortable expressing ourselves in that way, especially just in today's society, right? Because that's what it is.
And in this new world, I feel that these profiles, these platforms, is just like LinkedIn, because the world is changing. So having a LinkedIn and having 1,000 connections, if you have an Instagram, you have what you're doing, and you have 1,000 connections there, it's all about the connection, right? So now, you're really building your brand, you're building a portfolio, whether it be a LinkedIn, Instagram, you name the social media platform, but it's really just, so it's just a modern day, business platform to connect as well. So that's another reason why as well.
Yeah, 100%. I think, man, overall, man, I want to say I appreciate you for hopping on the pod. I think just expect greatness. Everything from the beginning setbacks, from what's going on in the NBA Finals, to any injuries, anybody that's been through anything in the world, like we said, business owners, whatever it is, could get something from this, could get a gem or get something from this, from what you said, from what I said, from what Eman said. So I think this is a great episode, and I definitely appreciate you for coming on. I definitely want to have you back on, but before we leave, bro, I definitely want to have you just let them know where your profiles are at, where your training page is at. Anybody that sees this that could train with you could just DM you, maybe get some workouts from you. They want to watch the podcast, they want to do anything, get some gear, whatever it is, because you got to show them you got to expect greatness on them. If they want to go buy some gear, man, where could they do that, man? Where could they find you?
Yeah, man. So my Instagram profile is my name, Eric Gallman II, but for the training page is Expect Greatness Training.
Come on backstage, man. You're supposed to have that ready.
What'd you say?
I'm talking to that boy Phaz. Supposed to have that ready. As soon as he started talking, that boy to pop up.
Oh yeah,
I'll be there.
So the Instagram page for the training is Expect Greatness Training. You can go on there if you're looking to get faster. Like I said, in college, I only ran my senior year at Cornell with the torn quad. I only ran like 18.6 miles per hour. While out Duke, while playing, I had some injuries there too. We didn't talk about all of that, but I only hit maybe 19.5. And now, man, I'm running closer to 22 miles per hour consistently. So I've developed my body, right? And I'm going to put some of this stuff up on my stuff. I haven't uploaded yet. I haven't even talked about my journey, but I've come a long way. So if you need help getting faster, improving, we got training programs at the Expect Greatness Training. We can do one-on-one online. We'll help prepare. I've studied the whole body from head to toe, from every single small muscle, man. So that's Expect Greatness Training. Also have the Expect Greatness podcast on social, YouTube, and Instagram. So you go check those things out. And yeah, that's it for right now. But I'll be sharing more through those things. And definitely with this one as well, we got to share some clips between the two so we can get joint sharing. But man, that's what I on, and
we're gonna do that
too coming up as well. I'm excited about that. I'm excited to put my new body on display and be ready to go, man. I'm excited about some things coming. So.
Yeah, it's gonna be good, man. I know through everything that we've been through, I mean, like we said, we've always been on the same wavelength. And I feel that with people that are on that wavelength, it has to happen because we're so relentless about learning. Like you're talking about, my body different. Yeah, because I know you've been through everything and you've learned every muscle and thing, every injury everything to become the best version of yourself. And you've always been like that. So, appreciate you, man. Last thing I want to get from you is how we end every episode. Is
he had me worried. I didn't think he was gonna do it, Eric. I didn't think he was gonna
always do it. Come on, man. I'm Mr. Unphazed. I never forget. We always ask our guests, how are you staying unfazed today? And we talked about a lot of it, but unfazed is staying like a lot of BS going on in the world, a lot of stuff going on. They'll tell you all this, a lot of social media, a lot of dopamine hits, kind of like you talked about. But what are you doing in your life to stay unfazed, to get rid of all that, staying expecting greatness too? It's like all in the same thing. What are you doing, man?
Cue the music.
I'm not gonna lie to you, man. All you need to do is you need to get you a nice watermelon. You chop that thing up, just sit there and outside the watermelon, nothing gonna phase you. That's how I stay unfazed, man. Besides the facing all that and staying present, but that's the way I like to stay present in the moment. Is just like literally, if you take a bite of watermelon, I know this sounds crazy, but if you just take a bite and you stay in that moment, you'll just, I don't know, nothing else matters. So that's one of the ways I do it, man. I take some food that I enjoy. I know it may seem crazy, but in that moment, I feel like I'm at peace and I'm feeding my temple as well. So if you're having a bad day, try that. I'm telling you, it'll work wonders for you. And that's what I got for you, man.
Come on now, spoken like a true black man. Get you a watermelon, man. And no, we're not talking about stereotypes.
Watermelon, cold too.
Let it run down your wrist.
Hey, and if y'all do that, let us know, man. Because EG, he don't play.
No,
so if y'all do that, y'all better let us know in the comments how that affected y'all.
In a little 5-second video, just.
Come on,
before we get out of here, though,
yeah,
I do want to bring to him as we wrap up a great episode. This will be the first time it's mentioned in an in-depth perspective. Coming to you in less than a week, myself, my co-host, Mr. Phazione McClurge, and Real Deal McNeal will be doing something you've never seen across any podcast platform. We are making a commitment to you, to our viewers, to our progress, to stream live every day for 30 days straight. We're calling it the 30 Days Unphazed Pod Stream. You don't want to miss it. Please be there in attendance. Tune in. We're going to have great guests like my man Eric coming on, sharing their stories, how they stay unfazed in this crazy world. We're also going to be taking you through our journey and telling more stories, having fun and playing games, all while staying unfazed. So just tune in. It's coming. July 1st, whole month of July, we stand unfazed. 30 days pod. Let's do it.
Stay unfazed, man.